Prologue. The Echo of Conquest. The last thing I remembered was the sterile glow of the lab, the cold calculations scrolling across the viewscreen, my calculations. I was the architect of realities, the unseen hand guiding evolution. Perfection was within grasp. Then nothing. Void. Then, sensation. Crushing heat. Grit in my mouth. A raw, animalistic thrumming in my chest that wasn't mine. No, it was mine now. Memories flooded in, fragmented, primal. Battle. Hunger. A tale, and a name, roaring through the primal core of this new body, Kakarot. I pushed myself up, sand cascading off thick, coarse fabric. Two suns beat down on a desolate sea of dunes. This wasn't my reality. This wasn't perfection. This was primitive. Disgust warred with exhilaration. This body. It was strong. Power thrummed in its veins, a reservoir deeper than any I'd ever engineered. Saiyan. The genetic memories confirmed it. A warrior race. Perfect. Asterisk. My old goals crystallized instantly, sharper than ever in this vessel of pure potential, become the strongest in this universe. Whatever universe this was. Chapter 1. Suns and Sandworms. Tatooine. The name surfaced from the jumble of Kakarot's rudimentary knowledge. A backwater. A place to start. Hunger gnawed, a Saiyan's hunger, vast and demanding. My senses, impossibly acute compared to my old form, scanned the horizon. Life signs. Small, scurrying, and something else. Massive, subterranean. A tremor. Then another. Sand exploded a kilometer away as a colossal, segmented worm erupted, its circular maw lined with teeth-like durasteel blades. A sandcrawler, pathetic and slow, trundled nearby, directly in its path. Instincts, Kakarot's battle-honed instincts, flared. Prey. Challenge. Asterisk. Move. My body obeyed before the thought fully formed. One instant I was on the dune, the next, I was a blur streaking across the sand, the sonic boom of my passage cracking the dry air a heartbeat later. The sheer, unadulterated speed was intoxicating. I landed between the sandcrawler and the descending worm, planting my feet in the shifting sand. Hey, ugly. My voice was younger, rougher than I recalled, but the command in it was pure, ancient arrogance. The worm hesitated, sensing the sudden, dense concentration of energy before it. It wasn't used to prey standing its ground, let alone radiating such palpable power. I didn't wait. I crouched, feeling the alien energy Kakarot called ki coil within my core. My fist drew back. Asterisk 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 THOOM. A shockwave ripped outwards. My fist didn't just strike the worm's armored head, it imploded it. Chitin shattered, viscous fluid exploded outwards, and the monstrous creature convulsed once before collapsing, half its head vaporized, sand steaming where its acidic blood hit. Silence fell, broken only by the settling sand and the frantic whirring of the sandcrawler's stalled engines. I lowered my fist, surveying the ruin. Crude, inelegant, but effective. The raw power. It was a good start. A flicker of satisfaction warred with disdain for the primitive display. A hatch on the sandcrawler clanged open. Two figures emerged, cautious, weapons drawn but lowered in shock. Humans. An older male with weathered features and a younger one, wide-eyed, clutching a blaster rifle like a security blanket. Owen Lars and his nephew, Beru's boy. Luke. The names surfaced from Kakarot's scant local knowledge. Wah, what are you? Owen stammered, his gaze fixed on the smoldering wreckage of the worm's head, then flicking to my tail, which swished unconsciously behind me. Strong, I stated simply, the truth absolute. My gaze swept past them, uninterested. Their fear was irrelevant. My stomach growled, a deep rumble. Food. I require sustenance. Before Owen could formulate a response, a new sound cut through the desert air, the distinctive scream of TIE fighters. Two black angular shapes screamed overhead, heading towards the distant settlement of Mos Eisley. Imperial. The word carried weight in Kakarot's memories, oppressors, enforcers. Potential obstacles. Or potential stepping stones. Chapter 2. The Desert Saint and the Dark Knight. The Lars homestead provided basic sustenance. The food was bland, the company wary. Owen clearly wanted me gone. Luke was fascinated, bombarding me with questions about the worm, my speed, my strength. I answered tersely, focused on replenishing energy. My senses tracked the TIE fighters' return path. Something significant was happening in Mos Eisley. Dusk painted the dunes in shades of blood and ochre when the disturbance registered. Not physical, but energetic. A ripple in the very fabric of the air. It felt structured, controlled. Unlike my rock key, this energy felt sentient, woven into the universe itself. The Force. The term surfaced, accompanied by Kakarot's vague understanding of mystics and warriors. Interesting. Asterisk. Curiosity, a remnant of my old scientific mind overlaid on Saiyan instinct, propelled me towards the source. I moved silently, a shadow flitting over the dunes faster than any speeder bike. I found them near a rocky outcrop. Two droids, a golden protocol droid fussing and a utilitarian astromech beeping frantically. An old man in rough robes, radiating that structured energy like a beacon, calm, serene, yet potent. Ben Kenobi. Jedi. And facing them, a figure that made my Saiyan blood sing with predatory alertness. Tall. Imposing. Encased in black armor that gleamed under the twin moons. A rhythmic, mechanical breathing echoed in the stillness. His presence in the Force was a black hole, sucking in light and life, radiating cold, focused power and a deep, resonant pain. Darth Vader. Kenobi ignited a blade of pure blue energy. Vader responded with a blade of searing crimson. The hum of the lightsabers vibrated in my bones. Power. Concentrated. Lethal. Different from Ki, but undeniably potent. They moved, a blur of light and shadow, the clash of their weapons sending sparks cascading onto the sand. Kenobi was skilled, fluid, drawing on the serene energy. Vader was raw power, relentless, dominating the Force around him like a crushing fist. I watched from the high rocks, analyzing. Kenobi's style was defense, redirection. Vader's was overwhelming offense, fueled by fury and suffering. The old Jedi was faltering, his movements slowing under Vader's relentless assault. The Force swirled around them, a tempest Kenobi was losing control of. Save him. The thought was alien, intrusive. Why? He was weaker. Vader was stronger. The victor deserved the spoils. Saiyan instinct saw only the hierarchy of power. Let the strong prevail. My goal was to surpass both. Intervening served no purpose, yet. But the structured energy, the Force, Kenobi held knowledge I lacked. Understanding it was key to mastering this universe, to becoming truly supreme. Letting that knowledge be extinguished. That was inefficient. Vader raised his crimson blade for a final, crushing blow. Kenobi, battered, raised his own in a desperate parry. It wouldn't be enough. The Dark Lord's power was absolute in that moment. Decision. Asterisk. I moved. Not to block Vader, but to redirect. A fraction of my ki, compressed into a needle-thin beam, lanced out from my fingertip. Not aimed at Vader, but at the rock face behind Kenobi. Crack THOOM. A section of the cliff face exploded violently, showering the duelists with debris and dust. Vader, caught off guard by the sudden, non-force explosion from an unexpected angle, instinctively raised an arm to shield himself, his killing blow aborted. Kenobi, equally startled but seasoned, used the distraction, vanishing into the swirling dust and rocks with a force-assisted leap towards the waiting droids near a landspeeder. Vader whirled, his crimson blade held high, his sensors scanning the dust cloud where the blast originated. His mechanical voice boomed, amplified and furious. Who dares? I remained hidden, cloaked not by the Force, but by Saiyan control over my life energy and sheer speed. I watched Vader's towering form radiate cold, controlled rage. His power. It was immense. A worthy challenge. Later, my gaze shifted to where Kenobi and the droids sped away in the landspeeder. Knowledge was escaping. That required follow-up. As Vader stood amidst the settling dust, a palpable wave of his dark energy washed over the dunes, frustration, fury, and a chilling, absolute will. I felt it resonate with something deep within the Saiyan biology, a respect for sheer, unadulterated power, a recognition of apex potential. A connection, cold and impersonal, but undeniable. He was a mountain to be scaled. And I would scale him. Chapter 3, Scum, Villainy, and a Hidden Princess. Vader's rage was a cold, crushing wave receding into the desert night as his shuttle descended to retrieve him. The knowledge, Kenobi's knowledge of the Force, was fleeing towards the hive of scum that was Mos Eisley. Inefficient. Unacceptable. Tracking the landspeeder's ion trail was child's play for senses honed across galaxies I once shaped. I moved, not as a shadow this time, but as a silent, swift predator skimming the dunes. Mos Eisley stank, unwashed bodies, cheap fuel, desperation. Beneath the grime, I felt the faint, structured pulse of the old Jedi's energy near a cantina infamous for its clientele. Inside, the chaos was deafening. Aliens of grotesque shapes bellowed, gambled, brawled. Blaster smoke hung thick. My tail twitched with irritation at the sensory overload, my Saiyan instincts categorizing threats instinctively: weak, weak, annoying, weak, potential nuisance. Then I saw them. Kenobi and the farm boy were negotiating with a smug Corellian leaning against a Wookiee. Han Solo. The name surfaced alongside Kakarot's vague understanding of smugglers and fast ships. Their energy signatures were unremarkable. The Wookiee, Chewbacca, radiated primal strength and loyalty, a flicker of interest. But my gaze snagged on the third figure with them. Dressed in practical, slightly oversized stormtrooper armor, helmet tucked under an arm. Captain Antilles, they called him. But the face. Young, fiercely intelligent eyes scanning the room with controlled tension. The force, that structured energy, whispered around her, latent but undeniable. And beneath the grime and disguise, a core of tempered durasteel, willpower, defiance. This was no mere captain. Leia Organa, princess, rebel, Padme Amidala's daughter. The genetic memory connection was faint, but the resemblance in spirit was sharp. She sensed my scrutiny. Her head snapped around, dark eyes locking onto mine across the crowded room. Not fear, not immediately. Calculation, assessment. She saw the tale, the strange garb, the way the rabble unconsciously gave me a wider berth. Her gaze flickered to the Wookiee, then back to me, weighing potential threats, potential assets. Her interest was purely tactical, a commander evaluating a new, unknown variable on a chaotic battlefield. I saw only her latent power and sharp mind, potential tools, or perhaps a worthy opponent once awakened. Romance. The concept was as alien as this planet's second sun. Utility. Challenge. Those were comprehensible. Solo's negotiations concluded with the grizzled barkeep. We boarded the Millennium Falcon, a piece of junk held together by wishful thinking and the Wookiee's apparent devotion. As the freighter shuddered out of Mos Eisley's atmosphere, pursued by inept Imperial ties easily swatted aside by Solo's surprisingly competent flying, another flicker of assessment. Useful pilot. I settled near the rear hold. Kenobi tried to engage me, probing gently about the desert, the worm, the strange energy Vader sensed. My power is my own, I stated flatly, cutting off his subtle inquiry. This force, explain it, its mechanics, its limits. My tone wasn't a request, it was a demand from a superior seeking data. Kenobi's eyes narrowed slightly, but his voice remained calm, teacher-like. The force is not a machine to be dissected, young one. It is an energy field created by all living things. It binds the galaxy together. It flows through us, guides us. Jedi seek harmony with it, use it for knowledge and defense. Defense. I scoffed, the Saiyan blood simmering. You fled from strength. Vader used it as a weapon, efficiently. I recalled the crushing darkness, the relentless assault. That was power harnessed. Kenobi sighed, a deep weariness in it. The dark side is a path to power, yes. But it corrupts. It consumes. Vader is a testament to that tragedy. Consumption implies weakness, I countered, leaning forward. True strength masters all tools. This force, it's a tool, like my own energy. I flexed my hand, a faint golden key aura flickering for an instant, visible only to those sensitive enough. Kenobi stiffened, sensing the raw, uncontrolled power, so different from the Force's flow. Leia, watching from the corridor entrance, caught the faint light and the shift in the old man's posture. Her strategic assessment deepened into wary fascination. What was he? Chapter 4, The Battle Moon and the Call Unheeded. Hyperspace bled back into the terrifying reality of a starless patch of space. Where Alderaan should have been, only debris field and a monstrous, artificial moon remained. The Death Star. Its sheer scale registered, impressive engineering, a symbol of concentrated power. Worthy of conquest, or destruction. The Falcon was tractored in. Captured. Boredom warred with anticipation. Stormtroopers were insects. Annoyances to be brushed aside. We fought our way through sterile corridors, Kenobi heading off alone towards the tractor beam's source, a noble, foolish sacrifice play. The farm boy and the princess, along with Solo and the Wookiee, scrambled towards a hangar bay, aiming for her ship. Then it hit me. A massive surge in the force, concentrated, clashing. Two titanic signatures I recognized, Kenobi's serene light, flickering like a candle in a hurricane, and Vader's crushing, glacial darkness, surging with focused intent. They were dueling, here, on this battle station. The light sighed. It pulled. A faint, insistent whisper at the edge of my consciousness. Help him. Defend the light. Preserve hope. It was the energy Kenobi embodied, the structure he described. It felt orderly, predictable, restrictive. My Saiyan blood roared in response. Not a whisper, but a primal scream of challenge. Fight. Test yourself against both. Prove your supremacy here and now. The sheer, unadulterated battle lust surged, a physical heat in my veins. My ki flared unconsciously, a brief, contained burst that made the deck plates vibrate and caused Leia to stumble, grabbing a wall for support. She looked back at me, eyes wide with shock and dawning horror at the raw, predatory energy radiating from me. This wasn't the strange ally anymore, this was a barely contained monster. I took a step towards the source of the duel, fists clenched, tail lashing. Crush Kenobi. Crush Vader. Crush them both. The hierarchy would be established. My path to supremacy could begin now. Before I could leap, a cold, powerful presence slammed into my mind. Not the whisper of the light, but the focused, resonant command of the dark. Vader. Amidst his duel, he had felt my surge of ki, my battle frenzy, my contemplation of intervention. You. The mental voice was like grinding durasteel, amplified by the dark side, bypassing my ears to resonate in my skull. Images flooded my mind, not words, but concepts, promises, Obi-Wan's broken form. The Death Star's terrifying might. The vastness of the Empire. The Sith Code. The sheer, unlimited potential of the dark side. Rule. Domination. Power beyond Kenobi's feeble dreams. And underlying it all, a challenge: your strength is raw. Untamed. Wasted on distractions. The Sith embrace true power. We harness the dark side's totality. Join me. Learn. Conquer. Become more. The Sith offer wasn't ideology. It was pragmatism. It was a structured path to power, access to knowledge, the dark side's secrets were the opponents, Sidious, eventually Vader himself, and a vast empire to test my strength against and ultimately claim. It was efficiency. It was the ultimate challenge. The light's whisper faded, insignificant against the dark's compelling logic and the Saiyan hunger for a worthy path to supremacy. Kenobi's fate was sealed the moment he stepped onto this station. His knowledge died with him. Vader offered more. A cold smile touched my lips, unseen by Leia, who was still staring, frozen. My decision was made. I turned away from the duel, not towards the hangar where the others fled, but deeper into the station's labyrinthine depths. My path was clear. I would find Lord Vader after he finished his business. Our business was just beginning. Leia saw me turn away from the fight, away from her desperate flight to freedom. She saw the cold resolve, the acceptance of Vader's presence, the abandonment of any pretense of alliance. The strategic interest shattered. What remained was pure, icy hatred and the bitter taste of betrayal. This monstrously powerful being had chosen the Empire. He had chosen Vader. Monster. She spat, the word barely audible over the station's alarms, but laced with venom. Then she turned and ran, joining Luke, Han, and Chewie, her heart hardening with the resolve to fight this new, terrifying evil. Chapter 5, The Shadow of the Sith. The sterile, metallic corridors of the Death Star hummed with tension. Alarms wailed, distant blaster fire echoed, and the oppressive weight of Vader's dark presence hung heavy in the air, a beacon guiding me deeper into the station's heart. The chaotic energy of the fleeing rebels faded behind me, replaced by the cold, regimented pulse of Imperial power. Efficient. Ordered. Worthy of command. I found him in a dimly lit observation chamber overlooking the skeletal superstructure of the battle station's interior. Obi-Wan Kenobi's empty robes lay discarded nearby, a stark symbol of extinguished light. Vader stood immobile, a monolith of durasteel and darkness, his respirator cycling with rhythmic finality. He didn't turn as I entered, but the air grew colder, denser. His awareness was absolute. You answered the call. His mechanized voice resonated, devoid of the fury from the desert, replaced by chilling assessment. The dark side recognized your potential. Your raw power is unprecedented, alien. He finally turned, the blank gaze of his mask fixed upon me. Not the force. Something else. Primal. Untamed. My power is key, I stated, meeting the soulless lenses without flinching. The life energy of my Saiyan race. It is strength. Pure and absolute. I flexed my hand, allowing a controlled surge of golden aura to shimmer around my fist, illuminating the durasteel walls. Your force. It is a tool. One I will master. The dark side offers efficiency. Structure. A path to dominance. Vader studied the key aura, his helmet tilting slightly. I felt the subtle probe of his dark side senses, not attempting intrusion but analyzing the energy signature. It was like scanning a supernova, immense power, barely contained, radiating heat and violence utterly foreign to the Force's spectrum. The dark side is strength, Vader intoned. It demands focus, control. Your power is a storm. Without discipline, it will consume you, or be wasted. Discipline refines the weapon, I acknowledged, letting the aura fade. Teach me the dark side's mechanics. Its applications. Its limits to be broken. My demand wasn't subservient, it was a conqueror demanding the keys to a new arsenal. In return, I offer a blade capable of shattering any obstacle. Including your emperor. A low hum emanated from Vader's chest plate. It might have been contemplation, or perhaps dark amusement. The sheer, unvarnished ambition was staggering, almost refreshing in its brutal honesty. Sidious craved sycophancy and hidden daggers. This Saiyan offered a challenge wrapped in mutual utility. Arrogance is the downfall of the weak, Vader warned, the threat implicit. But ambition tempered by power and the dark side's truth, can reshape galaxies. You will learn control. You will learn the ways of the Sith. You will prove your worth. Or perish. He gestured towards the viewport. Outside, the skeletal frame of the Death Star stretched towards a cluster of tiny, fleeing ships, the Millennium Falcon and its rebel escorts making a desperate run for Yavin. Witness the culmination of imperial power. The instrument of ultimate order. As he spoke, a searing green beam lanced out from the battle station's primary dish, obliterating a frigate in an instant. The raw, destructive power was impressive, a blunt instrument of terror. Efficient for subjugation, perhaps, but lacking artistry. Order through annihilation, I observed clinically. Effective, but inefficient long-term. True strength commands, not merely destroys. Before Vader could respond, a new energy signature flared on the periphery of my senses, tiny, focused, moving with impossible speed within the station's superstructure. Then, a cascade of explosions rippled through the Death Star's core. The station shuddered violently. Alarms screamed a new, frantic cadence. The rebels. The farm boy. Luke Skywalker. He had struck the critical flaw. Panic, raw and undisciplined, surged through the Force from thousands of Imperial minds. Vader radiated cold fury, a palpable wave of darkness lashing out. Fools, he hissed. His TIE advanced screamed away from the docking bay moments later, a dark arrow seeking the pest responsible. The Death Star was dying. A chain reaction tore through its heart. The ultimate symbol of Imperial power was crumbling under the blow of an insect. Disgust warred with a flicker of Saiyan appreciation for the sheer, suicidal audacity. Weakness in the design. Weakness in the defenders. Asterisk. As the station heaved around me, corridors buckling, fires erupting, I acted. Vader was still the key to the knowledge I sought, the most direct path to challenging Sidious. Letting him perish here was inefficient. I moved through the disintegrating chaos, a golden blur amidst the smoke and sparking conduits. I found his TIE fighter spinning wildly, damaged, caught in the gravitational turbulence of the exploding station. One precise key burst shattered the canopy. Another, carefully angled telekinetic pulse, a crude mimicry of Force grip, powered by ki, hauled the armored form clear seconds before the fighter imploded. We tumbled through the debris field, the shockwave of the Death Star's final destruction washing over us. I stabilized us, using controlled ki bursts for propulsion, heading towards the nearest Imperial picket ship responding to the catastrophe. Vader hung limp in my telekinetic hold for a moment, his systems damaged, his connection to the Force momentarily stunned by the cataclysm and his fighter's destruction. When his systems rebooted, the crimson lenses glowed back to life, fixing on me as we drifted. The silence was heavy, filled only with the crackle of dying energy and distant explosions. He radiated no gratitude, only cold assessment and simmering rage at the defeat. But the calculation was clear: I had saved him. Not out of loyalty, but because his continued existence served my purpose. The Sith understood such pragmatism. Your power has uses, apprentice, Vader finally grated, the title laced with dark promise and warning. The Emperor will be most interested. Chapter 6, Whispers of the Fallen and the Emperor's Blade. Coruscant, Imperial Center. A planet sheathed in durasteel and ambition. From the towering spires of the Imperial Palace, the galaxy seemed a chessboard. My training began in earnest. Vader was a harsh, uncompromising master. The dark side was not merely energy, it was pain, rage, fear, and the will to dominate them all. He taught me to channel my Saiyan battle lust, my inherent aggression, into the structured fury of the dark side. Meditation was torture. Sitting still, focusing inward, wrestling the raging torrent of Ki and Saiyan instinct into alignment with the cold, whispering darkness. Vader forced me to confront memories best left buried, the sterile lab of my past life, the godhood denied, the indignity of rebirth into this warrior form. Fury fueled my connection. I learned to manifest Sith lightning, not the blue forks of Sidious, but jagged, golden bolts crackling with raw Ki energy amplified by dark intent. I learned telekinesis, using Ki-enhanced will to crush durasteel or rip TIE fighters from the sky with terrifying ease, far exceeding the finesse of most Force users but lacking their subtlety. Vader observed, a silent, brooding presence. He saw my Ki-augmenting dark side techniques, making them brutally potent but inherently unstable. He saw me dissect Force philosophy with cold, scientific detachment, seeking loopholes and maximum efficiency, utterly unmoved by its spiritual aspects. My ambition was naked, my god complex barely veiled beneath Saiyan simplicity. I respected his power, saw him as the ultimate stepping stone before Sidious, but felt no fear, only anticipation for the day I would break him. This unnerved him, I knew. He was used to fear. My lack of it was a challenge to his dominance. One day, after a grueling session where I'd shattered a reinforced training droid with a Ki-infused force push, Vader stood before a holographic portrait. It was a woman. Beautiful, regal, radiating a fierce intelligence and compassion that seemed alien in these dark halls. Padme Amidala. The name resonated. Leia's mother. The catalyst for Vader's own fall. Sentiment is weakness, Vader stated, his voice colder than the void, sensing my scrutiny. It was her downfall. Skywalker's downfall. I studied the hologram. Not the beauty, but the strength in her eyes. The will that had led armies, defied corrupt senates, and birthed the rebellion through her children. Weakness. I mused, my tone analytical. She shaped the galaxy from the shadows of her death. Her legacy fuels the rebellion you struggle to crush. Her daughter embodies that defiance. Is that weakness? Or power misdirected? A tool unused? I saw it not as tragedy, but as inefficient resource allocation. Padme Amidala's influence, even in death, was a measurable force. Understanding it could be useful for controlling the living. Vader's fist clenched, a subtle whine from his servos the only sign of the storm my words provoked. Her legacy is dust, he hissed. Like the Jedi. Like Alderaan. Yet it persists, I countered flatly. Sentiment is inefficient. But legacy, influence, these are vectors of control. To dominate the galaxy, one must understand all its levers. Even the sentimental ones. I turned away from the portrait, my mind already cataloging Padme Amidala as a factor in the galactic equation, her daughter Leia as a persistent variable needing resolution. Romance. Irrelevant. But power, even power derived from memory and love. That was data. Interlude. The Emperor's Hand. Weeks later, aboard the Executor, Vader's Super Star Destroyer, a new presence arrived. She moved like a ghost through the ranks, radiating controlled lethality and unwavering loyalty. Emerald eyes, sharp as vibroblades, assessed everything, including me, with cold, professional detachment. Mara Jade. The Emperor's personal assassin, his hand. I felt her arrival. Not through the Force alone, but through the subtle shift in the ship's energy, the ripple of unease among the officers. Her power signature was refined, Precise, a scalpel compared to Vader's hammer or my own raging storm. She observed my training sessions from the shadows, a silent specter. Vader tolerated her presence, she was the Emperor's eyes. Our first interaction was inevitable. I found her in a secondary hangar bay, meticulously inspecting a modified TIE interceptor. Her gaze snapped to me as I approached, instantly wary, her hand resting near her blaster. "You are the Saiyan," she stated. Not a question, a designation. Lord Vader's project. Kakarot, I replied, stopping a few meters away. My senses analyzed her, peak human conditioning augmented by intense force training, reflexes honed to perfection, mind shielded with disciplined focus. A finely crafted weapon, and you are the Emperor's blade. Mara Jade. Her eyes narrowed slightly at the casual use of her name. His Majesty is curious about Lord Vader's new acquisition. Your power source. It defies analysis. Ki defies your limited parameters, I said, a flicker of Saiyan arrogance surfacing. It is the strength of the body and spirit, unbound by your mysticism. I ignited a small, controlled Ki flame in my palm. Show me your Emperor's teachings. Prove your blade is more than a polished toy. It was a challenge, blunt and provocative. Mara Jade didn't flinch. A predatory smile touched her lips. Careful, Saiyan. Toys can cut deep. In a flash, her lightsaber ignited, a brilliant, unique purple blade, and she moved. Not with Vader's overwhelming power, but with blinding speed and lethal precision, a whirlwind of violet light aimed to disarm, to test, not to kill. My Saiyan reflexes met her. I didn't block with ki or force, but with pure, unarmed speed, weaving around her strikes, feeling the heat of the blade near my skin. She was fast, her technique flawless, blending force-enhanced agility with martial prowess. But I was faster. My fist lashed out, not at her, but at the air beside her head, the sonic boom of its passage staggering her for a microsecond. I could have crushed her skull. I chose not to. She was the Emperor's asset. Damaging her without purpose was inefficient. She disengaged, breathing slightly faster, her purple blade held defensively, eyes wide with re-evaluation. She hadn't sensed the attack coming. Not through the force. Pure, incomprehensible speed. Your blade is sharp, I conceded, letting my ki fade. But speed is the ultimate weapon. Refine yours. I turned and walked away, leaving the Emperor's hand staring after me, a mix of professional respect, intense wariness, and a flicker of something else, the thrill of encountering a truly unknown variable. Her report to Sidious would be interesting.